All right, we are live again. Con te Gnomo, con te Gura,
Con
Con voi?
voi?
and welcome everyone to our number 16 episode. And today we're gonna talk about community lifestyle and groups, how to live together, and all let's say the challenges, the project, and let's say the community lifestyle in all his different shades. So, Gnomo, I mean, you already know Gnomo because he has been with us many, many, many times. But today we also have Gura with us. I don't remember, Gura, if you already been in an episode with us. In
No,
any
it's my
case,
first time.
first time. Do you want to say something about yourself, and then we can start to introduce the topic while the people are entering to this live stream?
Well, for those who don't know me, my name is Gura Lotto. I've been living in Damanhur for 23 years. And well, I'm teaching, I'm learning, I'm organizing groups here, retreats. That's what I'm doing mostly, and that's what I love doing. And I'm also living in a community. So since I arrived in Damanhur, I changed several communities. Now, for the last 12 years, I'm living in the sacred woods of Damanhur.
So I will introduce the first questions and then leave you to enjoy the live stream. And so it's very common now to talk about communities, but we want to understand from you, Nyomo, and you, Gura, when the Manurian talks about community, what do they mean in all the different aspects that we can concept community? So from the living together to participating to a project. So let us understand what we mean when we say a community, living in a community. Nyomo, you can start and begin, and then Gura, if you want to add something to this conversation. Thanks to everyone. I will join you at the end of this episode and convoy.
Okay.
Go
A
now.
te.
So first of all, I think we have to recap a little bit why Damanhur chosen to design communities. We came from the last 100 years where two huge blocks, the east of the world, that was the communisms, and the western of the world, the capitalisms. They were fighting because of two very different kind of civilization. One was based on individuals, so the Western world, the capitalisms based on the person, the individual, and the communism that was based on sort of ideology with all the people together. They were achieving a certain goal. We know that all the two kind of experiments eventually they doesn't work. They doesn't work. Damanhur, from the very beginning in the 70s of the last century, tried to found a third solution, a third way, something that was not only based on the individual, something that was not only based on big groups, but first of all, something that was also based on an idea of spirituality in terms of not only money, not only social living, not only daily life, but also the secret and the secret of human beings. So this is the base. Gura, you are experimenting the Damanhurian communities from many, many years. We did a lot of experiment together. I think it's very nice if you want to introduce us from the point of view of Damanhur, but of course also from your point of view, your personal point of view, and your personal life. What is the difference between individual and groups for Damanhur?
Well, I would like to share first my arrival here. So when I arrived in Damanhur 23 years ago, I didn't know that community life existed. Actually, I didn't even know what community meant because, I was, well, an individual, and I was a pretty individualist at that time. So I couldn't conceive such a concept. And in my environment where I was living, there was not such idea. Although I grew up in a very small village, so small villages still are communities, but because mainly people know each other, so they have strong bond. They live close by, they do things together, they know, everybody knows others.
A little bit
But when
conservative,
I arrived, yeah,
a little bit conservative also.
yes, of course, of course. But when I arrived here, and actually I found myself in front of, for the very first time, in front of community, okay, a community. In the beginning, I said to myself, okay, I'm sharing the same house with other people, and staying closer, sharing spaces, sharing experiences, grow together. But then in time, I realized that for me, community is a concept that embrace a people. So embrace a bigger family, a tribe, let's say. So being an individual disconnected from a bigger group is something that is very common today, because although we live in nations and we belong to cultures, to specific cultures, we do not feel that family belonging with our nation, with the people living in that nation anymore. And here, what I've realized is that belonging to a bigger family, a tribe, is most of all sharing ideals, sharing dreams. So the dreams are common, they are collective, they're not only individual. And I've realized also in time that where I've been able, and I haven't been able to do it, all the times, but where I've been able to match, to overlap my individual desires and dreams on the top of collective. So when these two things matches, that produced me, the greatest joy, because at that point I'm not doing things, I'm not expressing um, my skills or what I have to offer only to benefit myself, but it can be beneficial also for others, and the opposite, what others are doing, are sharing, is beneficial also for me. So it's like belonging, going back to a tribal system. And that sense of belonging, to me today, um, is it makes more and more sense in the actual world. It makes more and more sense.
Okay.
I don't know if I answered.
Yes, of course. Um, we experiment in Damanhur many kind of solutions in order to help Damanhur to grow, to create new communities, and so on. Can you explain a little bit more how your community is organized and how the Damanhurian community are organized?
Yes. Just a second, I need to connect my laptop to the
Yes.
battery. Oh, sorry. Okay,
The guitar in the middle.
done. So my community, so the place, well, in Damanhur we call my nucleo family, so the house I'm sharing with other people, is pretty organized. So because well, we are 15, we are 10 adults and 5 children, and we are, organizational speaking, very, very organized. So daily life is pretty structured because we have shifts during the day to cook, to clean, to take care of children. So in turn, we we do all these things. And we are in a very, well, in a place in the land of the sacred woods, which is a land that in Damanhur is considered the outdoor temple. So is a sacred space. And on the top of shifts, we also take care of of the land, of the researches that are taking place here. We're taking care of stone circuits. We're taking care, well, we are trying to establish on a daily basis a deeper connection with the land, with the beings, the living beings that are here, from trees to subtle beings, energies, entities. We work with the dream world. So one thing that we do in the morning is, to share what we dreamt. The dream world is pretty, well, is important to us because from that channel we might receive, insights, information. We might receive, I mean, things that our conscious part do not receive. So, and we find very useful to share, in the morning, dreams that we found, interesting and connected to the territory, to life here. And well, living with others, I've been here for 12 years, and I'm, well, actually only 2 people from the original group is still here. So all the others have changed.
Yeah.
And also our children, the children changed, but we are a community, not apparently, that's what's happening, that is giving birth to a lot of children. So I don't know why, but people that come here are very active in this sense. So they produce children all the time. So we've reached the maximum level of children like 4 years ago, that we had 7. So we
Wow.
were 10 adults and 7 children. Today we are 10 and 5. But actually, the alchemy of the group is created by the characteristics, the unique characteristics of each individual. So also in time, the energy container that we are able to create depends on the uniquenesses of the people living here. So the energy of this place have changed a lot in time, the energy of the community. So now, but what stayed, pretty the same is the activeness and the joyful environment due to the presence of children. Uh, Children, yes, they play in my community a very important role, because well, they became to us reference points to stay lighter, to play, to have fun. Um, I mean, they're a great example for the people, my people in my community.
I have a question about that because something that usually in all the family all around the world, it's very important, is how you handle the relationship between the parents of the children and all the other people of the family, because living in a community means that you have a constant relationship with the children of other people. So how you
Yeah.
handle this aspect that sometimes can be critical.
Yes, most of the times is critical. Most of the times. But differently from the very beginning, I mean, the very beginning since I've been here, so differently from 12 years ago, where we were trying, the entire group was trying to find out together guidelines to educate children, so similar guidelines. At a certain point of our process, we decided to stop because we encountered many crucial critical points among different ways of perceiving education, of parents wanting to educate children differently. And at that stage we thought that it would have been better if first parents did agree among them, not only the parents of the I mean the couple, but because here we have three families, so three families, different children, so there's differences in education among husband and wife of the same couple. Then imagine, three couples with different perceptions of education. And then people that do not have children, that they intervene or they try to cooperate or talk about others' children education. So
Yeah.
it was a mess. So what we decided to do is to ask parents, parents of these children, to find an agreement first among them, among the couples, okay, and among families, and then to share their guidelines to the others, and then to try to apply them. But children, children that are grown in a big family as a community, they establish relationship with everyone. So they seems much open than others to stay, also to spend time with the other people and not only their parents. So parents feel um, pretty serene and trustfully when, for example, they need to go somewhere and they ask someone at home, would you mind taking care of children for 2 hours that I have to do this? And children, they're fine no matter their age, since they are very young, 4 months, 6 months onwards, they're pretty fine with everyone. And this is beautiful. I think that this is very beautiful um, because they are taken care by many people that they do care about them, and they also exchange, with adults, well, different perspectives, different from their parents, which is, in the end, ultimately, it could be very enriching. It could.
Mm. So, did you test if this variety, this many options that the children's they experiment? So, with many parents, with many point of references, it's boosting the growing of the children. Do you think that can trigger and boost the growing of the children's?
I think that in children grows a sense of um, openness, being open, more open to different people, to different, perspectives. And actually, two mothers that are living with me in my community, they were born in Damanhur. So they grew up in Damanhur, in a community. And sometimes they share, their experience that is made of, like in everybody's life, in everyone's life, is made of traumas, is made of, beautiful things. But what they shared mostly is, this beautiful memory of having been taken care by many, not only by relatives. And when relatives, because well, sometimes it happens that relatives split, parents, not a relative, sorry, parents, I meant parents, split. They didn't go through such a trauma because their parents were not a couple anymore. And
So without conflict.
yes, without conflicts. So, and this is pretty, I mean, unusual in the so-called normal world.
That is the normal disaster for the children, so the conflict.
Yes, normally is a disaster.
Not the split itself, but the conflict, that the consequence of the split. Yeah.
Yes. So, well, I've asked also to other children that were born and grew here, I know about their experiences, and there's many different experiences, also because they've gone through many different historical stages of Damanhur, where things were different, because here things, continuously transform. But in the end, I mean, this sense of belonging, of a bigger family where you can count on not only your parents, you can count on many people if you need something, if you need anything. This is a beautiful sensation that they shared.
Last question about children's. Do you
Mm.
think that living in community, the people are pushed, maybe more than in a normal family, to design strategy for the growing of children's? Because if you don't design a strategy, it's a big problem in a community. Is it correct?
I think that personally, I think that a strategy is needed, a shared strategy is needed.
Yes.
But is not easy, not even in a community, because we have many different points of view, we have many different perspectives, and well, I'm not a parent, so I don't know how it feels to have children. But normally I've been witnessing, I've been living with parents that nourish a strong bond with children, sometimes with their children, I mean, and sometimes mm, is like, sometimes because it's too much to cope with so many opinions, with so many perspectives, sometimes they kind of create a shell around their own blood family. So the strategy of the community is to make them feel comfortable, although we do not think the same things, and actually not to create division also in front of children, I mean, to get stuck in fixed ideas, related to education, but trying to be open and to find constantly middle points, adaptability. Okay. And here in my community, I think that, but because of the relationship among adults that are pretty based on friendship, there is a mutual, respect and trust among adults. And this is transferred to the children, although we do not have, the same perspective on education.
Yes.
And this is something I find very, very opening, isn't? Yes. So not to be, I mean, to be ready to change idea. Actually, this is really needed in a community. Otherwise, you die. To change your own ideas.
To be able to change idea. That's a very, very interesting slogan. Gura, I'm going to ask you something a little bit personal, because there are, you know very well that there are still many prejudices about communities. So, what about you in terms of your love, your work? you have a boyfriend, I know. Your boyfriend is not living in the same community you are. You have a work, you are working also all around the world. So how you handle the living in community with work and with personal relationships? I think the people are very interested about that.
Yeah, I've been talking about this
Very sorry.
actually this afternoon.
Sorry.
I was talking about this topic this afternoon with a bunch of guests that they asked me, how can you manage?
Let's continue.
That's very synchronic. It's a very rich life and very committing, but in a positive sense to me, because me and my boyfriend, we live in two different communities by choice. And for me,
He is also Damanhurian, correct?
he's also a Damanhurian. Yes, he lives in a Damanhurian community. And for me, is the best thing we could ever choose, because because I have my community that I love, okay, with my people here. I see him like twice a week, okay, maximum 3 times a week when we decide, okay, when we're free, when we decide. So nothing is granted. And this uncertainty creates a better relationship, a better loving relationship.
Salt and pepper.
Yes, because yes, you cannot sit and be sure that you're gonna see me or I'm gonna see you, because we're living together and maybe we meet, we cross on one another. So we choose intentionally when we want to meet. And this well, for me, well, I'm pretty independent, also him. So I don't need to see my boyfriend every single day or to have it, living with me in my community. I've never felt this need until today, and I'm pretty old, but I've never felt the need of doing it. And this is maintaining, actually not maintaining, is making the relationship grow, is growing in trust. It grows in respect, because I have my own life, he has his own. We have similar passions, and when we want to do them together, yes, we meet and we express them together. But we also have differences. So if he wants to go and see a football play, I mean, he can go without me, I'm fine. He wants to go out with his friends, girlfriends, whatever, that I don't like, fine, go for it. I'm doing something different.
Also
And the
girlfriend.
other, yes, why not?
Okay.
Yes. So, see, I find that this is my, the optimal solution for me. And when I share this, for example, with my blood family, that they have a complete different perspective. So they were expecting me to get married, to have children, to live with my husband.
Are
And
you
I tell
from Veneto, correct? Are you from Veneto?
Veneto.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm from Veneto. Yes.
Northeast
Northeast. Yes.
Italy. Very conservative.
Oh, yes. Very
Very.
Catholic, apparently. I mean, at the
Yeah.
surface.
The surface, correct.
Yes. And so they
Italian.
cannot
Very
say it
Italian.
again.
Very
Very
Italian.
Italian.
Yeah.
Very Italian. They listen to it, but they do not want to hear it. So they just erase the thought. So for us, I have a boyfriend, but that's it. They don't want to know whether he's living with me or not. They do not want to know nothing, because they cannot accept the idea of it. But fine. I mean, we're different. He's fine with me.
Yeah. And
Um,
what about your
work.
work? Yeah. In terms,
Allora,
I'm always talking about the relationship between the community and your private life. So, do you have
yeah.
your own space to have your work and so on? Correct? I know it's
Yes.
a strange question for to the Damanhurians, but people they want to know. Yeah,
I have my personal space. I have my bedroom. That's my personal space.
yeah.
Okay. Um, and well, I work really a lot, especially in summer. So, and I also have roles in my community because I'm the general coordinator, and I'm also taking care of the economy of the community. So in summer for me is difficult to combine everything because this
You're,
everything work.
you're
eh?
very busy, very busy.
I'm very busy. So work with people coming here, being present in the community, do the job I need to do, so coordinate calculations, I mean economy, etc. It requires time and attention. So it's pretty hard for me to cope harmoniously with it in summertime. But people that knows me and they know that I'm very busy in summer, they just understand. I just declare very openly, guys, summer is approaching. I'm gonna have tough times because many people working a lot. You won't see me much. Be patient. Manage yourself. Do what you want. And so we find, and when I declare it, people, I declare it honestly that I cannot do it. I cannot manage everything all year long. So they just understand and they just support. They help me when I'm not able to do something. They just tell me, do you need a hand? Or I ask them, please give me a hand on this because I cannot make it.
Yeah,
So it's pretty smooth. It has, I mean, in this, let's say, in this community, I've experienced also the opposite, you know, where people I was living with, they were very demanding. They couldn't understand that I needed to work so much in summertime, so complaining and stuff like this. But today, I mean, here in my actual community, everything is pretty smooth now. Maybe we've experienced so much in Damanhur in terms of organization structure, strategies, etc., that now, because all of us, not only me, all of us, we are so committed, we have a very busy life, that there's more understanding. So for me, it's pretty smooth. So the difficulties sometimes I meet, they are due basically to my approach. Maybe, I get caught in my own anxiety and I cannot manage. But if, I remember to share that with the family, they will understand. They
mm,
just relax and they take care of things that I'm not able to take care of.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Gura, we experiment the community life from 1979, so from many, many years. And of course, we not only have communities all around us, we also have communities all around the world, in Japan, in Croatia, in Australia, so in many places. But from some year, we are also experimenting a different kind of application of the idea of communities, not only with people that are living together in the same house.
Mhm.
Uh, this is mainly related with something that there is in the bottom line of this topic, that is the sense, the values, and of course the result of living in community. So not only living in community itself as a procedures, as a way of life, as a choice, but what we are searching for into living in community. What do you think that we are trying to extract from the living in community? Something that can be useful to us in the next life, in our spiritual research, in our evolution. Why we chosen to live in community? What do you think about
Why we have chosen
to live in
to
community?
live
Why
in a
live in
community?
communities? Yeah.
I think for many different reasons, but after 23 years of community life, sharing the same house with others, I think that it could be very useful for us in the next future to have bigger spaces. Uh, Bigger spaces, and not necessarily, I mean, in the same house. We've been creating also different ways of living communities. So people building their own house close by other tiny houses, and then having a common space and meet, on a weekly basis when we decide, but each one having its own individual tiny house. And I think that is very precious today for people who decide, like us, to live in a community, to have bigger spaces to to live in. So not only a bedroom, even if it's big, but also a private bathroom, maybe also a little studio where you can work or where you can do something. I don't know. So this is for me is something that is becoming more and more needed, because because it allows individually to express, I mean, more parts, that being restricted also in a small physical space as a bedroom. Because then in many of our communities, no, there's not enough big spaces, shared big spaces that can be used by many. So I wouldn't, personally, I wouldn't live on my own anymore, or with my let's say boyfriend, whatever, is something that I still do not consider. I've thought about it sometimes, but what the community gives me is um, is a sense of richness. Richness in terms of resources, richness in terms of not wasting time, things, but making the most, of the many talents and also physical resources we have to share. So is also for me living in a more sustainable way. So sharing the same kitchen is like using, the same kitchen machine. I mean, the same oven, the same is like, not having so many, um, the need to have so many individual things, objects that they're really not needed. If you think about people living, well, it's nice to live in a big house and to have everything you need, but then multiply this individuality for millions of people on the planet. So is a lot of resources. So I think that we could find a middle point, from community life and extreme individualism, to make the most of the precious elements we have at our disposal: earth, food, energies, water, and to be very, to pay attention to it, because because the world, I mean, with this all these needs, I mean, extreme individualist needs, also for survival. Uh, I mean, I don't know if the planet can make it, can support this process. So to live in a community for me is turning into a more meaningful and sustainable way of living.
Do you think that we can also be an example for people all over the world that are searching for new models as Damanhur?
We could. We could. I think that we could be more and more an example if we will be able, well, we embody already a lot of experiences. When I talk, I mean, I can sense the difference when I talk to people of someone having a community experience and someone who didn't. Because you develop, a better way to communicate, a better way to find common solutions, to find solutions. You find always a better way to become more friends. Uh, so it's very useful to live with others. I think that we could be more and more coherent. So to become more aware of our choices by really doing what we feel. So I feel also by many people in communities, also in Damanhur, that they're not so happy about living in a community, which is fine. Why don't you try something different? Or if you're happy to live in the community and make it a better environment, I mean a better and better environment, more enriching, why don't you propose to your community to work differently, to explore, experiment something different? I think, I've learned that in a community we are always eager to find solution instead of problems, more and more. So these, developing such a skill to think that there's always a solution, I think that is very, very useful to live a more happier life. So not to get stuck in a problem, in an issue, or in your own idea, but by sharing with others, you can see the same thing from different angles and maybe changing your mind, or maybe change something about your perspective and understanding things. So it's like a constant co-creation. But you can get stuck also by living in a community when you are tired, or because your characteristics, your character, your behavior is complaining, is I'm not happy with it, is negative. So in a community, if you hold on to negativity, you're gonna die, because people are not doing what you want. uh, we need to stop projecting our own way of doing things on others. Others have different ways to do the same things. You need to accept it. Unless it becomes something that impacts on others very negatively, but then yeah, at that point, yes, of course, you're going to talk to the person. But if his point of view is not impacting negatively on no one, why not accepting others' differences? And
Yeah.
this is, I think, that this is a big challenge also for humanity as a whole, because we are still, we've been fighting one another for more than 2,000 of years. I mean, more, for thousands of years, because I have the truth and you don't.
Yeah, the monotheisms. Uh,
Yeah.
do you think it's correct to say that to live in community is like to be into a gym for the behavior?
A gene?
A gym,
Yeah, a
palestra
gene.
for the
Oh,
behavior.
yes, it is. But in a community, it depends on the people around you, the people you're living with, because If you are in an environment where people, the average people is open, is willing to listen to your perspective, is willing to find solutions, that becomes a creative environment, is willing to collaborate. So that becomes yes, an environment where you can thrive, you know, collaboration, sharing, the openness, and also the authenticity of telling each other's things. But not by judging others and their behavior, by taking responsibility of my feelings because you reacted that way and I felt this way. So taking responsibility of our manifestations. So if you are surrounded by people that are open enough, to take their own responsibility of who they are and how they manifest, and at the same time expressing with deep honesty, how you are perceived by them, and you take it as it is, okay, and maybe you can make something out of it, something fruitful, that's perfect. But you see, is a matter of working a lot on ourselves.
That's why
And
Falco, the founder of Damanhur, chosen to create the community, but also combining the community experiment with the school of medit action, where you have to work around yourself, around your evolution, your relationship with other people. So to combine a choice to
yeah,
live in community with a personal inner path, where you are in some way forced to be aware about yourself and your relationship between you and the other. Thank you
yes,
very much, Guralotto, for your answers. I have a last question, but
yes.
it's very difficult because I want to ask you to say only to choose only one. What is the worst and the best of the community living?
Hello. For
First, the
me,
worst.
first the worst.
The worst
Okay,
of
the
living.
worst for me is sharing bathrooms.
I totally agree.
For me, it's sharing bathrooms because, first of all, they're always busy when you need them.
Second,
First.
the idea of cleaning
Second,
is different from everyone.
yes, exactly. And third, because when you are in a bathroom that is shared with others, you don't have that feeling, of relaxation, taking a bath of 1 hour and a half without being disturbed. So this is the worst. I mean, practically the worst.
Worse,
In
yeah.
terms of in terms of um, sharing bathroom, the worst is also sometimes when people when there's conflicts. I mean, conflicts are useful if you are oriented, so directed to find a solution. But sometimes there's conflicts where people do not want to find solutions. So, I mean, these, energy that is around you and it becomes then also part of you, for me, is something that I cannot deal with. And see, I find it not useful. Or when people, they express aggressively things instead of, smoothly and harmoniously tells you what is not working. And so that is something I still do not cope very well with. And it
Yes.
happens. The best thing for me is to cook once a week, to take care sometime of children that are not mine, that I give back to their parents. and and the beautiful energy that we are able to create when we feel connected by, a common dream. The energy we're able to create is something that goes far beyond me as an individual, and is an energy that can accomplish things. It makes things happen.
When you were talking about that for you the best is to cook once a week, I was thinking, of course, it's the best because for 6 times a week you don't have to cook.
Yeah, yes.
And Tello, I think we arrived to the end. Thank you very much, Gura, for your answers.
Thank you for inviting me.
You are very honest and very open sharing of everything you share with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gnomo, and thanks to everyone who has been with us today. Underneath this video, you can find all the links connecting with Damanhur, with our communities, and the visits that you can do, and the courses, and so on. So we gonna meet the next month. Thank you, Gnomo, and thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Bye.
Compoi.